why this picture, this crappy artwork, where it's dinted there. What I'm saying is, if this would have been natural stone originally, when it got bashed and smashed there, that picture would still not be there, right? So straight away you think, and everybody else would say, if they made a video, that this writing was put on afterwards, right? And that is a possibility. But when you look at it, when you go look at it yourself, I know it's a little bit blurred-ish. I've actually made it smaller so you can see it better. I should have made it a little bit smaller, I suppose. You can do it yourself. They would say that that writing was put on afterwards, right? Because it would have to be. Because if it was natural stone when that happened, this would have crumbled away by now, right? Or it's something to do with surfacing. Or it's just fake, you know, with the Zolatone paint spray that I got into, that I will be making a video on again later. The second main thing in this video that I'm going to point out, I made 3 videos on this being some type of, it's the site, the artifact that's under the, is it the Djoser pyramid? I'm not sure now anyway, but the videos are called Ancient Technology Has Been Found, Caught With Their Pants Down. That's the second one. The third one is, I forgot now anyway. But these images, you can literally zoom right into them, right? So what we're looking at here is the actual site. These are real and they're old photos, because I've had people, well, I will show you how big they are first. All these, so they're already on my Google page, yeah, so you can go look at them in fine detail. Now what I want to get to with this, I had people saying, well, no, and they were leaving links on those videos, right, for my subscribers, and people come in and watching the video, listening to me saying that it was some sort of freezer technology, like what you get in a warehouse where I've worked a few times, right? That they were directing them to this stuff. Well, I can tell you now, if you can't see it already, this is a museum, right, in the same area, and they've rebuilt a section of the wall to go along with their narrative. Like these, you know, these blue things are just something to do with decoration, right? So again, not everything that you see on Google, just because you type a name in, does it mean that, you know, that they are the right artifacts. Like I mentioned that on the South American heads, you know, when I showed you that they were basically mud fossils of giants, yeah. And then people leave links to artifacts that are in people's gardens or museums across the world, but they're not real, they're just replicas, right? So you've got to be careful what you're looking at. I mean, just look how crappy this is. And, you know, people will go to the museum and think that this has been taken apart and then built in it, you know, in the museum. And yeah, for sure, if you looked at this, you would think it was just something that somebody made as a decoration, but it's crap. So that's all I wanted to get across with that. So yeah, this video is called Fakes and Museum Pieces and Collapse of Megastructures. This is in, obviously, South America, somewhere in Peru. And when I see stuff like this, people, I'm telling you, this is obviously being done by archaeologists in the rebuilding of these sites, and they build them to how they taught, you know, were taught history went down. These things are brand spanking new. Look at the artwork on that. Is what we're getting at here. This stuff here, I would say 90% of these kind of artifacts are completely fake. I mean, when you look at the devastation what I show you on this channel, right, across Egypt, do you think that this stuff would have been pulled out intact? Because it is mud. This is not stone, it's just pure dried mud. If you left this another 20 years, it will collapse into nothing, right? So it can't be real. And when you look at the artwork on this stuff, it's crap. It's just to go along with their narrative, like this is some type of serpent. I mean, just look at that. So somebody's having a laugh with this stuff. I mean, are we meant to believe this? You know, they will put this in a museum somewhere. This is obviously meant to be Akhenaten. But he actually had a bigger head, didn't he? But do you believe this stuff, people? Just because, you know, you're presented with something that's been pressed into clay and you're told that it's come from a site, means nothing to me. This one's massive, so I want you to go look at that on your own and listen to what I've said. This is how they came to terms with the Khufu pyramid, the Great Pyramid, being called Khufu. This is the only evidence that they give you, right, to back up their Egyptian narrative of you know, humans dragging huge stones around and being whipped and all that bollocks, right? But when you look on the back of this, you can see where this is just plaster. I mean, it's modern day plaster that's been spread on. You can see fingerprints on the back of this, right? So how long do you think fingerprints from plaster would last on a wall? Calculate that one and then realise that this is complete bullshit, because this is paint, yeah? I mean, which would erode first? The plaster, you know, a layer of this plaster, or the paint? It's bollocks. And by the way, they've obviously plastered a hole up here, because you can see it there. So they've hit something. I don't know what it is, obviously. But it doesn't take much to work out that's bullshit. Right, this is obviously the Sphinx. This is the stone here. You know what they found, and they say that the king at some period dug it out and and he left something on it that proves their narrative. Well, when you look at this thing, this is obviously a coating on this, right? This is not natural stone, again, like what you see there today, because look, only a third of this has still got a layering on it, and underneath it's just loose, soft, you know. It's more than likely concrete, okay? You know, and the lime got sucked to the outside in the flood, like I've told you, and all this is just hardened sand, right? Well, why does it look like that? Yeah? And then well, the reason why is because they've obviously, it's to prove this, isn't it, that the Sphinx was made at a certain period in time and all that shit, okay? Next thing I'm getting on about is, this is the Great Pyramid, the earliest image that I could find. And can you see these three holes here? Well, I mean, there would be one there, okay? You can see that one there, and that, and that. You can still see these today, right? Well, they tell you, don't they, that they blew through there in the 1600s, right? And they magically just dropped out in the Great Gallery there, right? Just magically. Well, this was obviously something to do with framing. Yeah, I think the Great Pyramid is actually collapsed. To what level, I'm not sure, but this is, you know, that's what these are. It's part of the structure, and this will have rusted away, and then he was able to just work his way through, right? He didn't, you know, there were no dynamite used there whatsoever, is what I'm saying, right? This is a piece, a block from the Great Pyramid, and you know, I get on about rebar. Well, when you look at that there, right, that's framework, or the imprint of, which has leached all the lime like it does in caves and just left an imprint of the framing, yeah? So it wasn't built with giant blocks, because that's backward. This is that entrance I've just been showing you that were meant to have been blown through, right? And can you see the imprint of that inner framework inside this concrete that's now turned limestone? Can you see it there? You will see why I was showing you that shortly. That's the same hole, and can you see how dead straight it is? Yeah, which it would be, wouldn't it? If it, you know, if you had a big iron girder part of this structure, it would be completely straight, wouldn't it? That's Abu Rawash, and that's just showing you more of this framework that you need to build any structure of any height. I found this yesterday. This is the supposed Dasher pyramid, and I'm telling you, when you look at that, that's more inner framing. Whether this is still iron now, I'm not sure, or part stone. I don't think it's wood. Okay, it will be some type of iron or steel framing, which proves to you that these were made from concrete, like any advanced civilization would, like we do today. This is the Joseph pyramid. They've done that much work on this now that it's not even ancient anymore. It's just a pile of shit. You can see how lopsided that is, and what it dropped down to. I don't know what this was originally. It's been worked on that many times that you look at it now and you'd have no idea what it was. Was it some type of roof? Was it the top part of a huge structure that fell down on what was below? That's what it appears to be to me. This is outside the Sphinx temple, and I showed you how this thing blew out and collapsed down on itself. Yeah, I'm not getting into it again, and was connected by these, which will have been something like what we use today, to some sort of metal clip tied to to connect something, and you're just left with an imprint. This is Saqqara, and this guy is not taking this image lopsided. Right, you can see that's level, so this thing has also fallen down, but this must be at least a first floor, because that's how you build a floor. You lay your beams down so you can lay your flooring on top of. Okay, because basically what we're going on about here is the collapse of structures. This is what they call the unfinished pyramid at Abu Rawash, and I once thought it was. But again, this is definitely a collapsed structure, mega structure, right? When you look at this one, obviously that looks straight. This one's leaning forward, in fact, and this part of the ground is leaning sideways. It's not the ground. You can't just have the ground all leaning lopsided and all over the place. It's because it's a structure, obviously. And when you look at this, if there's any builders out there, ask them, would you lay concrete blocks or lay concrete, right, because it's concrete, would you lay it on an angle like that? No, you wouldn't. It's collapsed straight through the center and fallen down into a pile of rubble. This is the Jakare, whatever that is, and this one's also lopsided. Yeah, this one I've wanted to show you for a while, but I've never been able to find a big image of it. This is a satellite pyramid of the bent pyramid, and can you see how lopsided that is? It's collapsed straight down through the center of the floor, like the Twin Towers did. It's something akin to that, or Building 7, take your pick. I've shown you this once before, and at the time I thought that these blocks would have been built up to this, but it isn't. It's just collapse, right? Whatever this was, these will have been straight at one time. It's not a pyramid, right? Everything's not a pyramid. Everything just collapses into a pyramid shape, and then it gets tidied up over time, all right? These will have connected to this at one time, and it's just fallen down. You get me? Like this thing, I literally do think this is the smaller of the 3 pyramids. I haven't got the name of this one, but you would not be building huge blocks like this up against a sloped edge like that. This thing has collapsed down on itself.